Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie, and today is a beautiful day. It's the end of September, and it's starting to get towards the end of the growing season, but we still have a lot of abundance to harvest. This year is one of the years where our first frost date has not happened yet. Usually by this time of year, we've had at least close to freezing night, where it changes the textures of the tomatoes and everything starts to slow way down, and that hasn't happened yet. Now, technically, our first frost date is the middle of October, so we only have about 2 weeks left. But everything is really still looking amazing, which doesn't happen every year. So let me show you what we have and show you how beautiful it is. Now, I live in Utah, zone 6/7, which means sometimes we get zone 6 winters and sometimes we get zone 7 winters. And it's already starting to be fall. This is September 30th right now. No, today is the 27th. Today is September 27th, and we've had color on the hills for, probably, I'd say about 2 weeks now. So the colors up there that you see are maples. Those are probably the Rocky Mountain maples. We have a couple of different kind of maples up there. The ones that haven't changed yet are the oaks. We have Gamble oaks, and we also have a ton of beautiful aspens up there. Now the aspens turn gold color. I'll show you a picture of some of the colors that I've taken on when I've driven up the canyons in previous years. Fall color is gorgeous up there. It hasn't quite moved its way down to our elevation, but pretty soon all of these plants are going to start changing color. Another thing that has started blooming has been my Jerusalem artichokes. Now they have a very interesting flower. These plants are probably about 12 feet tall. They are planted in my little 17-inch Veggies raised metal bed to contain them. As soon as these are done blooming, it's going to be just about time to harvest those. Now one of my plants has started to change color already. Hopefully this isn't stress. It's just a tiny, tiny bit early. But this is my serviceberry, and we're already starting to see the fall colors on that. It's not extremely early, but I usually don't expect to see the color change for another couple of weeks. So hopefully it's not that branch is stressed. The berries on my cotoneaster. Oh, before we look at that, I don't know if you can see it in the sunlight, but look at the spider's web. It's probably a cat-faced spider. Oh, he ate a little bee. That's the leftovers from dinner. But anyway, that's gorgeous. But my cotoneaster is changing color. The berries have changed color, and pretty soon the leaves will change color. This turns a scarlet red. And this is one of the things that we're going to be harvesting today. These are our tomatoes. Now, I thought I had done a final harvest on these probably about a week ago. Came through, pulled all the ripe tomatoes off, then shut off the water, and thought that was going to be the end. But the water hasn't been on for about a week to a week and a half. They're definitely suffering just a tiny little bit, but it's started to size up and ripen the rest of the tomatoes. We're going to come through and harvest these because as soon as I'm done harvesting these, I've got to re-amend this bed, and we're going to make it ready for our winter planting. We're going to do that winter planting tomorrow. This is another bed that's going to be planted for winter. I may have to harvest these a little early, but look at the size of this. We've already got 3 of them that we've pulled off this vine. These are Lady Godiva pumpkins, and what I grow them for is the seeds. They don't have holes on them, which is this hard outer coating. So when you pull the seeds out of a squash, they've got that white hard outer coating, and when you break it open, there's a little seed inside. Well, these don't have that hard outer coating, so you don't grow it for the meat, you grow it for the seeds. So this one's ripe, and we've got a couple of them. There's a giant one back here that just have not ripened yet. Look at that guy. We've got a big daddy long-legged spider there. I may have to harvest these a little bit early because I really... Oh, here's another one down here. And then another one forming. This has just been really prolific. We had squash bugs earlier in the season, and then I just quit looking for squash bugs. I'm sure we have them in here. The plants are dying back. They do that this time of year. So we'll just have to see what happens. I may wait on this for another week and let these take a little bit more time to ripen. So let's harvest these tomatoes and see what we can get. This right here is an amazing little tomato. I absolutely love the shape. I love the flavor. This is the mushroom basket tomato. It's been an amazing tomato. Now you can kind of see the sizes of all of these. These have been the Amish paste. The Amish paste is a new one for me this year, and I will definitely continue to grow them. Very, very prolific, good sized tomatoes. Some of them can be a little bit smaller, and some of them are about 3 times the size of these. But these have been amazing, and I'll continue to grow the Amish paste. Now this one isn't right, but this is another shape of the Amish paste. Now if you look at the shape difference, this is the Amish paste, a smaller Amish paste. And these are my San Marzanos. I love San Marzanos. I've grown them for several years and I'll continue to grow them because of the flavor. But all of these have been amazing. Now, I have 7 tomato plants in this bed and they have been so productive. I planted them early in April and then covered the whole thing in frost cloth and plastic. And they went through a couple of frosts and never had any issues whatsoever. So I think I may continue to do that throughout the years, is plant some early in this bed, let them get a head start, and it's really been a good tomato year this year. I've actually been able to can all the tomato products I will need for an entire year. Plus I've given a ton away. So this is the result. 7 tomato plants, pruned to a single stem until the end of July, and then I allowed them just to spill out over the top. And when I say pruned, I took off all of the side shoots, so they were a single stem until July. And then after that, I just quit pruning them. And we've had harvests like this every other week. It's almost ridiculous. The bed is a Veggies metal bed. We'll go show it to you again. And it's 6 feet by 3.5 feet. Look at that. So you can grow a huge abundance in a very small space. You can see the size of this raised metal bed. 7 tomato plants, picked pretty much clean. There's a few things left on it, but I have enough already that I'm going to have to give most of it away. So this is not the only bed that we're going to harvest. We're going to go harvest another one. And as we're on our way past, just so you know, those 7 tomato plants were not my only tomato plants. I have 14 down here in 2 beds. So 7 in this 8x2 Veggies raised metal bed that have been way beyond productive, just like the other ones. These were also supposed to be sun gold or sun sugar tomatoes. And the red tomatoes, the red cherry tomatoes, came out of the same packet as this one. So it was a mix. These aren't bad. They're definitely not sun gold or sun sugar tomatoes. They're not that kind of flavor, but they're not bad. I've been dehydrating these and they've been great. We've got Jet Star tomatoes. We've got some more ripening in here, but we're not going to harvest them today. I've got one of my favorites that are starting to ripen. These are this is a dwarf tomato, and this one is the Adelaide Market or Adelaide Festival. This more Jet Star. And then over here, this tomato is actually a sun gold. We'll harvest that tomorrow. We've been harvesting off of it, so there's not a lot ready yet. And then we've got some black seamen that are starting to come on. So this whole area is just going to stay until probably the first frost. We've got basil. We harvested our tomatoes here. And then here, I may harvest something today out of here. Or we may give it a little more time. I think we'll give these a little bit more time. We don't have a frost coming, but these are my red ivy leaf sweet potatoes. I planted these I created slips off of potatoes that I saved from last year, just the skinny ones from last year, and then created the slips and then planted those out in this Veggies raised metal bed. And I'm already starting to feel that they're sizing up. I'm finding larger sweet potatoes down here, but they're not as big as they were last year, from the ones that I can feel the tops of. So we're just going to wait until we see a frost in the future, and keep growing these. Now this is one I think I'm finally going to harvest. This I have been waiting for years for. Let's pull it off the vine. And we'll harvest this at the end. My daughter's already harvested one. This is a topaz melon. My daughter says it's the best flavored cantaloupe she's ever had. But I don't know if a topaz melon is exactly a cantaloupe, but I will tell you the story about it when we go to eat it. Unfortunately, there's a little baby there that did not get time to ripen before the vine died. We've got some butternut squash. Let's do the finger poke test. It's still, I mean, you can see the finger marks in there. They're still not ripening. So we're just going to leave those. I already harvested my Chinese sprouting broccoli. This is a tiny one. This is what they look like. There's a bigger one over here. Now you're supposed to be able to just pull these sprouts off and have side shoots come on. But I was sorely disappointed in the flavor of these. They're quite bitter. So I decided to pull those out and see if we can get the cauliflower in the back to even form heads. They have not started forming heads, and they may not have time before the first fall frost. The chiji-misai, though, is ready. Not going to harvest these. We've got more butternut squash that is racing to ripen before the frosts. We've got quite a few in here. I didn't think I was going to get any this year, but all of a sudden, we just got a ton. So I'm really excited because I love butternut squash. We have got a watermelon here where the tendril is starting to dry. I think it's really getting close. But I'm not going to harvest that yet. We're going to wait. Got another watermelon here where the tendril is completely dried up. That one sounds a little more ready, but it doesn't look a little more ready. We're going to give it another day. So this is what we're going to harvest next. Sorry about my shadow, but these are my cucumbers. We have gotten loads of cucumbers. I've made 24 quarts of pickles. And I've given away probably 3 grocery bags completely stuffed full of them. And we're probably going to get about that much now. So let's get these harvested. So there's my cucumber harvest. They have slowed way down, which is okay because today's the day that they've got to be pulled out, and that will be in my next video. Now we've got peppers. I'll link the video that I just created of preserving all my hot peppers. And I'm pretty much done with all the preserving that I want to do. The really hot ones I just can't eat. So I think I will pick some of these. I don't know. We'll figure out what to do with them. We're going to leave the sweet peppers to ripen. I don't need to use these pots for anything else so that the peppers can stay in here as long as they want. These are the Big Jim. These are some Jimmy Nardello these are the Jimmy Nardello that are starting to ripen. So yeah, we'll just leave these guys on here. These are the Chimayo that are just way too hot for me. Now this pepper bed, all of the hot peppers I'm pretty much going to remove. Anything that is a sweet pepper is going to stay, with the exception of my Aleppo peppers. These peppers are really hot, but I love the preserved pepper flakes that I made with them. So I'm going to let as many of these ripen as possible. We'll probably harvest quite a few of my jalapenos and just freeze them. They're looking pretty good. This bush stayed a little smaller than the rest of them. For some reason it just didn't want to grow that big. We've also got quite a few ahi panca. I have not finished my preserving. Like I said, I'll link that video of all the preserving that I did. But I have some stuff that I want to do with the ahi panca. And we have a great many of them. So we'll let these ripen. Scarlet's chili is going to go, even though it's absolutely beautiful. Got another Jimmy Nardello. And I think my habanada is coming to an end. The peppers are starting to rot. So, and I have done all the preserving I'm going to do with them, and I don't eat a lot of those. So I think the only one that's really going to stay in here is the Jimmy Nardello. And let these ripen up. I'm also going to leave the chimayo and let these ripen. Got a few. And then I was really surprised. I absolutely have loved the hot sauce I made out of the Sugar Rush peach. It wasn't that hot. So I think I'm going to let the rest of these ripen because there's a ton of them down here. And there's another chimayo down there, but there's a ton of Sugar Rush peach in here that I'm going to allow to ripen. So I was going to pull that out, but I'm not going to anymore. The other one that I'm going to leave and allow to finish ripening is the berry coffee, because I absolutely loved the berry seasoning I made. So these will be allowed to finish ripening, and then they'll be dehydrated, and then the rest is going to come out. The Griff 9238, I'll probably harvest these, and I mean, the colors are gorgeous. I'll probably harvest these and then offer them to anybody who wants them. They're just too hot for me, and I don't have a use for them. And then look at this. Akakangwa, I think is what you call it. It's finally starting to ripen. But look at the size of this one right here. So these will just stay on until they're done. Look at these. Look how pretty these are. These are the sweet cherry, chocolate cherry, I think it is, bell peppers. The colors are gorgeous. We're going to let these fully ripen. Look at the colors on that one. Absolutely love these peppers. They're really good flavor. So here we are with another amazing harvest of just, there's abundance. Most of this is going to be given away because I just have preserved everything that I need out of these varieties. I'll probably dehydrate all of the cherry tomatoes. Those are just the red cherry tomatoes. I have 2 more plants of cherry tomatoes. These are just my paste tomatoes. I've already preserved a year's supply of tomato products, so all of these will be given away. And I have 16 more plants out in my garden. So yeah, I have plenty of tomatoes in the garden, so I'll give these away. Maybe I'll keep a couple of the mushroom basket because I really do like those. All my peppers will be, well, I'll keep my jalapenos. I'll preserve those. We're going to give away the habanada because I don't like eating these fresh, and I've already preserved everything that I'm going to preserve that would have those in it. Cucumbers, I already have a full bag in my refrigerator, so these will all be given away, or maybe I'll give away the bag in the refrigerator. But this is the one that we're going to go get a knife and cut into right now and see what it looks like. So I need to tell you the story of this melon before I cut into it. This is a topaz melon, as I said before, and this is a melon that was grown in the Topaz Mountain internment camp here in Utah. In World War II, as many of us know, the Japanese people that lived in America were interned in several internment camps, and there was one here in Utah. Now, my kid's father, he's 3rd generation Japanese. His father's side immigrated, I think it was his grandparents, immigrated from Japan to Delta, Utah, which is really near the Topaz camp. They were not interned in the Topaz camp, thank heavens, but they have plenty of stories to tell of persecution and problems that they had during World War II, during that time period. Now, his mother's side immigrated to Hawaii. He has, part of his mother's side, there's some here in Utah, they're just all over. So it's 3rd generation. And some of his family were interned in internment camps, just through some of the sides. But this is a melon that was saved. The seeds have been saved and passed down from generation to generation. And I first tried to get seeds from the Topaz Museum. The seeds that they sent me were not viable. They were kind of crusty and old and crumbly, and none of them sprouted. But another lady also got a shipment of seeds that same year, and she actually had a melon plant that produced melons, and she was gracious enough to give me one of the melons. It was so delicious, and I saved the seeds from that melon and grew this one. Now my daughter also grew a couple of plants, and she's been able to harvest some of the melons and is saving the seeds. So I'm hoping that these can be passed down through the generations of our family. So this is a special plant. This is a special melon to me, and I only got one. Now I'm hoping it's ripe. I'm smelling the melon smell. It smells really good. So let's just cut into it. It's juicy. It's orange inside. Oh, and it smells so good. I would say that's ripe. Look at that. It is absolutely beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape the seeds into this bowl. We're going to save these seeds for next year. I didn't grow them near any other cucurbits. These were down on my lower garden, and they were not near any cucumbers or other melons. So let's cut into a slice and taste it and see. So now this is not my first taste of a topaz melon. I had one last year, but this is the first taste of my homegrown ones. And I think it's been about 3-4 years maybe since I've tried to grow these. That is a good melon. So that made me really, really happy. I'm so glad I was finally able to harvest that melon. I had been checking it 2 or 3 times a day to see when it would be ripe. And today was the day. I'm so excited about it. And I'm really excited about the rest of the harvest that I have. All the stuff that I've been able to preserve this year. But it's not over. It's gotten a little bit late to do it today, but tomorrow's video is where I'm going to be removing all of the plants, and I'm going to be getting those beds ready for winter growing. Now I live in Utah zone 6/7, and I can grow over the winter. I use low hoop houses to do that, and it's worked beautifully for the last 5 years. The things that I grow are the brassicas. I grow cabbages and kohlrabi. This year I'm going to try collards for the first time, but we also always have chard and green onions and kale. All of those things do beautifully over the winter if you just give them a little bit of cover. So I'm hoping you join me for the next video, but until then, I hope you like, subscribe, share this with your friends, and go have a wonderful garden adventure.